Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. It's 7 o'clock, everyone. I wanted to wait until 7 p.m. so I could go ahead and get started. We are live. So I want to say hello to everyone, and if you're watching this after I'm done doing this live, I hope you enjoy the information. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go ahead and get started by introducing myself, and then I'll go over some tips on how to help your teenagers, students be more successful in the college classroom. And if anyone is joining me, hi Dr. Lloyd, I am going to go ahead and answer your questions in the comments area, and then I'll wrap it up by summarizing what we discussed, especially if our conversations deviate from what I've already have planned to discuss today. So thank you for joining me, and please feel free to write down your questions and comments in the discussion area. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Flores. I am a sociology associate professor at South Texas College, which is located in McAllen, Texas. That's the southernmost region of Texas, right along the Mexican border. A lot of great food. So I've been working with the college since 2007. I actually started my career as an associate professor in the sociology department by gaining an associate's degree at South Texas College, and I got an associate's in interdisciplinary studies. I wasn't so sure what major to actually take, and just so you know, that's actually a very common theme amongst new students who are attending college. They don't know where they're going, what they're going to do. They get a feel for the classes the first 2 years, and I feel that the interdisciplinary studies degree helped me do that and help me understand that I'm a sociologist at heart. So something that I recommend for students who are not sure where they want to work in the future. So after I got my associates at South Texas College, I actually went to the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Back in the day, it was called UTPA, the University of Texas Pan American. It's located in Edinburgh, Texas, and I got 2 bachelors, one in psychology and one in sociology, and I realized really quick that I loved sociology. So I went to the Texas A&M International University in Laredo, Texas, and I got my master's in sociology with a minor in criminal justice. And then I attended North Central University online with Dr. Lloyd. I got my doctorates in business administration of criminal justice, and I graduated with Dr. Lloyd. So that is my academic career and my life in a nutshell. I did have the opportunity to work with abused children for close to 2 years. Then I worked in the research office at South Texas College, both fields in the sociology area. And I taught for about 2 years part-time at Rasmussen College, and that's how I decided to jump in and become an associate professor / instructor. That's how you start off with at South Texas College. It was a wonderful college to start at, and I felt that that's like the best place for me to give back especially with all the skills and experience that I had gained throughout the years. Do we have any questions so far? Awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the big question that every parent has. How can my student be successful in college? So just so that I could get this off my chest, right? The number one factor as a sociologist that we've read and learned and lecture on is that helps students succeed in college is money. Money is the number one determining factor that helps students become successful in college. And so luckily for us, we have financial aid and we have scholarships. So I do want you guys to know that it's not all on the parents. There's so many opportunities to get funds out there. And if you don't know where to start, every college/university has a office that helps you apply for financial aid, because we want students to register for our college. And in this department, you could also ask for their scholarship rep, and that person will come out of their office, talk to you about who they are, talk to you about their website and how to apply it. They'll even help your students, your children, apply for these scholarships. And there's tons of scholarships out there. So if your child wants to put aside 8 hours a day, maybe once a month, just to visit and meet with this scholarship specialist, I'm sure they'll take all of those 8 hours and apply for at least 10 scholarships per day. And so that's just a good way to get started on applying for free money out there, because you don't have to pay that back. So having said that, we also want our students, as faculty, we want our students to come in ready and excited to go to college. Of course, that doesn't always happen, but some of the basic things that they should do to be successful and to start off on the right foot is read that syllabus. In case you don't know what that is, a syllabus is kind of like a contract between the faculty and the students. And it sets guidelines for that classroom, and every faculty gets to set their own guidelines, their own rules for that classroom. And so what the students need to write down and memorize or keep close to them is, one, what is that faculty's name, right? I know I always get miss or doctor or ma'am, right? But it's very nice when a student actually comes up to me and says, Dr. Flores, and I actually get shocked that they actually know my name. But it makes me feel warm inside. So make sure your students know what their faculty's name are, and make sure that they use that name and the proper title. Never let them use the faculty's first name. That is unprofessional, and only the faculty could give them permission to use their first name. Some faculty out there do. So write down the faculty's name from the syllabus, the contact information, how to email them, how to call them, when their office hours are held, and that way you know when to contact the faculty when they're available to answer questions, and where their office is located. And have your students visit with the faculty that first month that the semester starts, so that they can introduce themselves and talk to them and get to know the faculty. Faculty love their students, but students rarely visit them. And so I do want you to know that the more the student visits with the faculty, the more the faculty remembers that student and their name, and the more there is a professional bond. And if the need ever arises and the student has to ask for an extension or anything like that, chances are they will have a high chance of getting those extensions, right? Just because there's a bond in there. And the student feels comfortable asking for those requests or making those requests. So the syllabus, contact information of the faculty, go down that syllabus and find out what is due for the whole semester, not just the first week. Write down exactly what assignments are going to be due, and that includes the reading assignments per week, the quizzes, papers. Put it on a calendar so you can know each assignment and when it's going to be due. Also, find out of each assignment what is their worth for the final grade. Is it even graded, right? You don't want to waste time on an assignment that's not going to be great. It's going to help you learn if you already mastered the content and you have about 5 papers due in other classes, right? I would definitely run that by your faculty and, you know, explain to them, hey, this is not for a grade, it's not mandatory. I am very busy with the other classes, but I do want to talk to you about this assignment so we could have a verbal conversation and we could save a little bit of time there, because, you know, students are stressed with all these demands from all these classes, and I'm sure the faculty will understand. So other than that, students need to know the absence rules. How many times can a student be absent per class? Every faculty has different rules for that. And also late work. Do they accept late work? And if not, what are some exceptions, right? So if they have those components written down, especially what the book is and where they need to go and buy it, right, they should get started on the right foot. Other than that, the students should be coming to class on time, reading the chapters on a weekly basis, attend class ready to take notes, right? And don't forget the students should be taking notes and reading the assignments and listening to the lectures. So they need to come to class, and if they miss a class, make sure they talk to the instructor to see if they could get a recording somewhere. They might have it somewhere, and that way the faculty knows that the student is eager to catch up and willing to learn and go the extra mile. Don't forget that students should be taking notes. Students who are successful are also working part-time. If the student needs to work or wants to work, please encourage them to get a job on campus. Do not let them work more than 20 to 30 hours. And I don't know if you know what a work study is, but a work study is a student who works on campus, and their title is work study, and they are working in a department on campus, and they do work that the chair assigns them or a faculty assigns them, and so sometimes they get to learn from different departments. If they could get a work study position under their field, so they get to learn by working with the department in their field or in their major, right? So again, contributing factors that help students succeed is working no more than 20-30 hours a week, preferably on campus, right? And the way you apply for that is you go to the HR office, ask for a work study application, submit the application, and then go contact the chair of the department that your student's going to major in and tell them, hey, I want to be at work study here. I've already submitted my application. My name is so-and-so. Here's a card, or here's my contact information. Let me know if you need anything else from me so I can work here, right? So that is another contributing factor to success. Typically on campus is student clubs that are available, activities outside of the classroom provided by Student Life. We also have some faculty who get involved and create their own activities for students to learn outside of the classroom. The key word here is outside of the classroom. The more the student connects with other students or faculty outside of the classroom, the more likely they're going to want to come back, the more likely they're going to be encouraged to get involved in the classroom because they want to continue to attend that college and connect with those students that they're already connected with outside of the classroom, right? So interesting how that works. And don't forget that if your student is ever struggling, there's always free tutoring available on campus. So you just need to ask if it's located in the library, if it's located in the tutoring center, but nonetheless, it's always there. We have a question that says, should the student attend office hours for all classes or only for classes within their major? All classes. Please make sure that if this student is taking a class and the class is XYZ and the major is ABC, go to that faculty who's in charge of XYZ, say hello, introduce yourself, tell them you have your book, tell them you're excited, because you're going to get a grade in that class. And you might have a life circumstance that requires the student to request an extension from the faculty. And if only the faculty from their major knows that student, then the faculty who is the student is taking a class from and is not from their major won't know who they are and won't understand that the student does go above and beyond and that this really was a life situation that they really do need assistance with, right? So please make sure that students have a professional relationship with all their faculty. That's a great question, Dr. Lloyd. Thank you. Okay, so if there's no other questions, let's move on to social choices outside of the classroom in order to be successful. I've mentioned student clubs, I've mentioned activities that the faculty tells students to get involved outside of the classroom. I didn't mention Student Leadership Academy. Every college, university should have one, and this is like a student club, but it's more focused on giving the students leadership skills by giving them opportunities to work with leaders on campus in that university and making changes in those policies, procedures, any regulations. I know an example would be some of our student leaders in our campus spoke with the director of facilities and convinced them to purchase hygiene products for females and provide those products for free in the restroom. And so that helped a lot of our impoverished students who were embarrassed to come to class once a week, once a month, because they didn't have the means to take care of their necessities, right? And so the leaders were super proud. Right now they're working on bringing certain restaurants to provide economical food in the cafeteria. Right now it's not being occupied, and so they're working with the president of the college to do that. So we're very excited. And again, this is an experience that students usually don't get if they join a regular student club. What else? Students need to connect with other students outside of the classroom. That helps them become successful in the classroom. But please, please, please talk to your students, your children, about making positive relationships with their friends, their colleagues, because what's going on a lot of the times is that there's these chat rooms, there's these groups that one student wants to use to ask for answers. And it just takes one student for the whole group to be reported to conflict resolution. And the whole group in that group chat or in that group has to get interviewed and has to go through this whole process to make sure that all of the members in that group were not attempting to cheat. It was just that one student, right? So make sure that they choose their friends wisely outside of the classroom, so that way they could be successful in the classroom and not get in trouble with the college, right? Okay, so we got work study, student club, student leadership, and faculty who want students to get involved outside of the classroom, and be wary of those students who want to use the online platform for cheating. That's all I have for social choices outside of the classroom. Keep in mind that the more your child, your student bonds with anyone on campus, even if it's a staff member, they just came across a staff member, they're so helpful, they love their conversations with that staff member, they're helping them apply for scholarships, that's enough to encourage them to continue to go to college, to class, and become successful. How does that work? I don't know, but you really want to help your student create a bond with someone on campus that first year, okay? Let's talk, if there's no questions, let's talk about remaining safe on campus. Our college campus does not have dorms, so I can't speak to that, but I feel that every student, whether at a university or on campus, should have the security office phone number recorded on their cell phone in case they ever need to speed dial that number, especially when they're walking to their car, and if they're taking an evening class and the lighting is not bright, go ahead and call the security guard to have them walk you to your vehicle, and that way you could guarantee that you're safe 100% of the time. Let me see here. If possible, take classes during the day. Make sure you park in an area that's well lit. When you go to study groups, make sure you don't go by yourself, and make sure you don't go to study groups that are in private areas. Try to go to a coffee shop. Try to meet with a friend and then go together to this study group, right? Try to stay safe on campus by making wise decisions and safety precautions. Remember, and this goes for anyone who's traveling, not just students who are on campus, students who stay in groups are safer. That's just a general rule, especially when you're traveling. Never attend parties that have suspicious activities occurring. Remember that if one member of the group gets reported, the whole group has to be investigated. And you do not want to be part of a group that you thought looked suspicious and it turned out that they were, and you were part of that group, and then everyone's investigated, right? So watch who you hang out with. Watch who you befriend as well. Any questions? Awesome. Let's move on to from a scale from 1 to 10, how involved should parents get? The big question. Well, parents, I know that raising a child, you had to be very, very involved, but when it comes to a college campus, parents should not be as involved anymore because the student is now an adult. And because of that, the faculty, staff, administration should treat them as such, and we could get into legal liabilities. We could get in trouble with the law if we share any information with parents that the students did not approve of, right? And that's the key word there. Students have to approve of it. So from a scale from 1 to 10, maybe parents should get involved on a 3, 30% of the time. And when I say get involved, I'm talking about taking on the role as a mentor, not necessarily a parent or security guard, right? You no longer have to be that person who protects your child, because your child should be able to take on that leadership role now. Now, I know it's kind of hard, right, towards the beginning to see them as a leader and see them independent, especially if you know your child and they're not independent. Since they're little kids, you usually know when your child is independent or not. But after you let them become independent, that first semester, second semester, that second year, they're only going to be calling you to join them so that you could pay for free breakfast and lunch. Trust me on that. We have a question here. Would you recommend that I use an app that would help locate my teen while she's away on campus? I definitely recommend that. I know there's some apps out there. To be quite honest, I'm already doing my homework on alarm systems on the phone, alarm systems on the wrist. There is such a thing as an app on the phone that not only can detect where your child is located, but it's actually an alarm as well, and it's attached to the phone. Right there's a card, and you could go ahead and put it on as a bracelet, so if you're jogging, they're walking, and you need to call the cops immediately, all you have to do is pull off the phone, and the actual alarm, like a house alarm or a car alarm, will sound. It'll make a loud noise, and the system, the alarm system, will call the first contacts on your phone, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5. It'll send a message to them telling them that this is your location and you had just pulled your alarm, and a operator will get on the phone with you and ask you, are you okay? Do you want us to call the cops for you? So I'm looking into that kind of alarm for my daughter, and she's 10. You can never be too careful, but I found that fascinating, and I found that to help alleviate a lot of my stress, right? Okay, let me talk about how involved parents should get. You know your child more. So if a child is not independent, if they don't have those leadership skills yet, you're going to need to help guide them and show them how, right? So I recommend you offer them free breakfast and lunch on a day that you are off and they're off, and you need to take them to the admissions office to apply for the college. Then you walk them over to the advising office where they can register for classes. Then you walk them over to the cashier's office or financial aid office so they can pay for those classes or apply for financial aid to pay for those classes and scholarship as well. And then trust me, that alone is a good 8-hour shift. That'll be a day, but walk around campus, help them fall in love with that campus. I usually, my kids are young, but I usually take them around campus, showing them the departments, and then I go to the bookstore and I buy them whatever they want so they could have that positive feeling whenever they come to campus. A nice reminder that the coffee shop or that office is a wonderful place to be because they got their favorite thing, right? Some people call it conditioning, like Isaac Pavlov. I don't care, as long as they love being on campus and they have that positive feeling. That's key to helping them want to go back, right? So it's best as a parent to follow up on your students after the first week. The first 2 weeks are the hardest because they're trying to get used to this new college environment. They might come across some new experiences that they're not too comfortable with. So as a parent, ask them, how was your day? What was the best part? It's kind of like those first years when they went to elementary or junior high or high school. You want that conversation to be open, and you want them to tell you the ups and downs, and you want to be ready to answer which department, which resources are available on campus to help them with whatever struggles they come across. Always keep it positive and always encourage them to take on the steps that they need to, and always offer to be there, just to be there, not do it for them, but just to be there. Driving over with them, standing in the hallway. Sometimes I have parents who stand in the hallway as the students talk to me respectfully, and that is respected for both the parent and the student. So it's gonna be hard, but it's doable, right? And keep in mind, the entire time parents are teaching their students how to be leaders, how to be independent, and you need that skill, especially if you want them to get their bachelor's, master's, and their doctorates. They need to be independent and they need certain skills. Question: should I leave quickly when dropping off my teen or remain for a couple of days on the college campus? It really depends on if you could afford to stay there. I've had parents whose children started off in college, and about the 4th, 5th week, they try to stay in contact with them as much as possible, but the stress got to the student and they weren't able to communicate on a daily basis, and the parent had to fly out because they had to help the students handle the stress. So be available and ask the student, do you need me to stay here? Of course, they're going to say no because they want to be brave. But I'm not going to lie, if I were a parent and my child's in college, I would make up any excuse to enjoy the environment, take a vacation, and make sure that I'm there physically that first week, because it is stressful for them. It's something new, and having that support helps them emotionally and psychologically, and it helps them feel that they have backup should anything happen, right? They need that form of stability, at least that first week. But again, it depends on the parent, if they could afford it, if time allows. I definitely recommend that the parents stay a little longer, but it's definitely up to the parent. And I've had parents who had to go out there and help their students 5 weeks in, 4 weeks in, right? That's something that a parent always has to prepare for, making sure that they're for their students throughout the entire semester, one way or the other, right? And let me see here. Always provide a positive environment. Encourage students to seek on-campus advisors for the classes that they're taking. Make sure that the students know where the on-campus counselor is, because they are going to come across stress, and if they don't have any skills or tactics or exercises to deal with the stress, they need to see the counselor as that stress increases, because stress will be there, so they could handle it positively and appropriately. Let me see here. Keep that conversations going. Keep it positive, because the students will come up to the parent if you have an open conversation with them, and they'll tend to lean more towards the stress and the negative perspective, but try to show your students, your children, how to switch that mentality and stay positive, right? Look at it as the glass half full instead of the glass half empty. There's opportunities that I tell my students other students don't have. the barrier of just registering for a university or a college, that alone is a massive barrier to overcome. So if a student is registered to a college, they've overcome a huge obstacle that other students did not or were not able to, right? So encourage them and tell them that they did a wonderful job just by registering, and that they could continue to do wonderful jobs and break down those barriers and obstacles that they see as huge mountains, but really with time, taking it a day at a time, they'll be able to overcome them. So if your student needs one-on-one assistance, simply join them when they register, when they get advising, when they're checking out the campus. Just simply being there helps them, because remember, the students, your children, need to see that no matter what, they have that support, that it just helps them alleviate a lot of stress. Parents, please encourage your students to take the lead with every conversation held on campus. We've had students who go and make payments for their college classes, and the parent is making the payment, when it's really easy for the student to say, I'm here to make a payment, my A number is ABC, and I don't know how much I owe. Can you please tell me that, right? It's a simple conversation that they could initiate with a cashier, but sometimes the parents take on that role, and it's a perfect opportunity to help the student feel independent, feel like a leader, and gain those skills, right? So baby steps. Let them do the easy stuff, and then eventually the hard stuff will become easy for them, right? Okay, so just so you know, it does go a long way when students go to campus and they are independent and they're speaking for themselves, because we want their teachers and staff members to see them as adults and not little kids, right? So especially when they are in front of the professionals, try to encourage them to speak for themselves and just be there as a support system, right? Any questions on that? Okay. Last but not least, we have approaches to detaching, because sometimes it's a little hard to detach from our children whom we've raised for 18 years, and we've been doing everything for them for 18 years. And so we want to make sure that everything goes fine, and you know, we're parents, what can we say? So it doesn't have to be from one day to the next. I know it's hard. Baby steps, as I mentioned. Give them the opportunities to become leaders, to become independent by doing the easy stuff, help them with the hard stuff, but eventually take a step back and encourage them to also take on the leadership role with the hard stuff, right? Once you take a step back with the hard stuff, you could slowly but surely encourage them to continue to be independent and do stuff on their own. That does not mean that you don't have to go with them or you shouldn't go with them. Be there. You're their support system, but most of the time the support system should be just you physically being there and you being a ear and a shoulder to lean on, and that's it, because they should, as independent students, be able to do everything else, but they do need a support system. So it doesn't mean leave them alone, don't talk to them. No, on the contrary, let them take the lead, be there for them physically, emotionally, psychologically, and become their mentors. No longer the parent, but the mentors, and explain to them, hey, you know, if that were me, there's two options. These are the two pathways that you could take. What decision do you want to make, right? Because you want to encourage them into making those decisions on their own, but you also want to give them good advice and options. That way they don't come up with these options on their own and then they take a completely different route that would lead them down the wrong path. So please stay encouraging, guide them, become their mentor. The difference is that the students make the decision on the path that they take, but parents, please become the experts in the choices that are available to them so that you could give them that feedback. And always remember that you could always pick up the phone call the departments, find out what resources are out there, and then give the student advice and have them choose what path to take. Ultimately, if parents are positive, involved, and always supportive, the students will succeed. And I just want you to realize that that's the route that I take with my students, because a lot of the times we don't say this out loud, but faculty take on that parental role as well, and we become those parents that we want our students to succeed, and they all become our children. And so welcome to our world where we can't make the decisions for our students. We want the best for them, but all we could do is lay out all the resources and options for them and allow them to make that decision on their own. So welcome to the group that mentors our higher education students. It's a fun opportunity and it's exciting to see them grow, and it's a privilege to be there to help guide them towards the right path. If you don't have any questions, that is definitely my presentation for you today. Bye. Good luck.